All right, for those of you who weren't there, I'm going to do the bracha. Amen. Blessed be Lord God, King of the universe, the people of Israel, and to all the peoples through His Son, Yeshua the Messiah, our Lord. Amen. All right, so as God would have it, we didn't get very far in 1 Peter chapter 2. How far did we get? A couple of verses down, if I remember correctly. You know? Let's just use the... All right. We pretty much got to the living stones and that sort of thing, right? Right. Good. So we got through all of 3 verses last week in an hour and a half. I don't pretend to know how that happened. My notes are not that comprehensive. But we're going to pick up with it, right? You guys all there? We're going to jump around a little bit today because, like I said, there's some interesting remezes that pop up with our theme. So we spoke about Peter telling them to get rid of all malice, deceit, hypocrisy, envy, and all the ways they are speaking against people. I'm reading from verse 1. Be like newborn babies and be thirsty for God's word. And that's pretty much summarized the entire first section. Doesn't sound like an hour and a half's worth of discussion, but hey. From verse 4. As you come to Him, the living stone, rejected by people, but chosen by God, and precious to Him. As you yourselves, as living stones, are being built into a spiritual house to be kohanim, set apart for God, to offer spiritual sacrifices acceptable to Him through Yeshua the Messiah. All right? We got that far. This is the section where things are going to get a little interesting. Okay. So we all know what a remez is. Yes? If you don't know what a remez is, stick up your hand. All right. All right. Yeah. So we're going to remez is we're going to tie in our portions. We're going to tie in 3 parashah that get quoted here by Peter. And he's going to try and give you a better understanding of what Messiah is. And he's using the imagery of the stone. Give me the Hebrew word for stone. Eben. Eben. Okay. Kifa means rock. Okay. It is a foundational stone. On this rock, I'm going to build my church. Eben is made up of 2 words. Av and Ben. All right? When they get joined together, Father and Son. Okay? So we're going to look here to see how he's going to draw this together. He's already talking about, in verse 4, the living stone rejected by people but chosen by God. Precious to Him. We already know that's Yeshua. So now he's going to come in and he's going to bring 3 different remezes to tell you about this in 3 different sections. So I'm going to break it up one by one, and then we're going to write down the theme for each remez, okay? This is what the Tanakh says. Look, I am laying in Zion a stone, a chosen and precious cornerstone, and whoever rests his trust on it will certainly not be humiliated. What's the remez? Right? Look at the little side notes of your Bible. They will tell you he's quoting a verse, but it's not just the verse. So the first remez that he links to this portion is Isaiah 28. All right, what do we find in Isaiah 28? Let's flip back and go have a look. With every one of these, you generally have to follow the thought. Remember, chapter and verse only came later. So he's making a declaration and a thought process to help us understand something here. Okay? I'm going to read the first 3 verses to give you a little bit of the theme, and then I'm going to jump down to about 15. Okay? Woe to you, haughty crown of Ephraim's trunks, to the fading flower of its proud splendor. located at the head of a rich valley belonging to the people overcome by wine. Adonai has someone strong and powerful. He comes like a hailstorm, a destructive tempest, like a flood of water, rushing, overwhelming. With his hand he hurls him to the ground. The haughty crown of Ephraim's trunks is trampled underfoot. Nice, happy words? Not so much. He sets the theme for judgment. And if you carry on reading, you'll keep on coming back to them about how unclean are you. He sits on their tables. He's like, I used to give you an instruction, but now I have to teach you precept by precept, line by line, a little here, a little there. You've taken my word, you've manipulated it, so now I give you little lines or little pictures of it. And it will cause you to stumble. All right? Jump down to verse 14. So listen to the word of Allah, you scoffers. Because you said we made a covenant with death, we made a contract with Sheol, the grave. When the raging flood passes through, it will not touch us. For we have made lies our refuge and hid ourselves in falsehoods. Stop there. What do you think's going on? They're worshipping foreign gods. Assyria is coming down. They start leaning towards other people. All right? When there is someone big from the north, what do? We run down to the south and we grab Pharaoh's hand and we become willingly a vassal nation, running back to Egypt every opportunity they got. Sound like a good plan? Pharaoh will save us. Listen to his things. You've made a covenant with death. What came out of Egypt? Nothing. All their gods were dead. A living God brought you out though. Right? It says, you have made lies our refuge. What they believe. Who is supposed to be the refuge of a believer? God is supposed to be that refuge. Let's read a little further. Therefore, here Adonai him says, look, I am laying in Zion a tested stone, a costly cornerstone, a firm foundation stone. What's a cornerstone? The first stone that gets laid, is it the smallest? Generally the biggest. And from there, everything else in shape of the stone. It defines the building. So the builder has in mind what he's going to create. He quarries out the stone accordingly and he places it. God's perspective, if Yeshua is that stone, I've pulled him out, I've made him into what I want, and I'm placing him to where he needs to be. Okay? Now you understand why it was a costly stone. It came all the way from heaven, yes? He who trusts will not rush here and there. I will make justice the plumb line and righteousness the plumb bob. So to build straight, across and down. This building is going to be accurate. Hail will sweep away the refuge of lies. Water will overflow the hiding place. Your covenant with death will be annulled, and your contract with Sheol will not stand. When the raging flood passes through, you will be trampled down by it. All right, so what do you think he's saying? Remez 1, if I had to sum it up in one word. I just want the theme for now. We see Yeshua on the one side, aka what God is. If you trust in him, you will find, but you didn't make a covenant with God, you made a covenant with this. So therefore there's judgment coming. You with me? Okay. Let's look at Remez 2. Verse 7 in 1 Peter 2. Now, to you who keep trusting, he is precious. But to those who are not trusting, Remez number 2, the very stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. So if you keep trusting, if you make God your refuge, You will be fine. But if you don't, and you reject Messiah, you reject God as your refuge, let's pull from the remez. What's the remez? Look in the side of your Bible, and where's he quoting that from? Psalm 118. Go to Psalm 118. It's something you actually know quite well. It's quite an interesting portion. Oh, thank you, Abba. So remember, he makes a statement. Now to you who keep trusting, he is precious. But to those who are not trusting, the very stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Idea, Psalm 118, 1. Give thanks to Adonai for his everyone say, his grace continues. His grace continues. With Adonai on my side, I feel nothing. What human beings do to me. As my help, I will look with triumph at those who hate me. Can you already see the contradiction between the two passages? One makes a contract with death and lies. The other one goes, God is with me, whom do I fear? It is better to trust in human beings, better to take refuge in Adonai than to put one's trust in princes. The nations all surround me. In the name of Adonai, I cut them down. They surround me on every side. In the name of Adonai, I cut them down. They surround me like bees, but were extinguished as quickly as a fire in thorns. In the name of Adonai, I cut them down. You push me hard to make me fall, but Adonai help me. Yah is my strength and my song. He has become my Yeshua, my salvation. The sound of rejoicing and victory is heard in the tents of the righteous. Adonai's right hand has struck powerfully. Adonai's right hand has raised in triumph. Adonai's right hand struck powerfully. Who sits at the right hand of the power? Yeshua. I will not die, no. I will live and proclaim the great deeds of Yah. Yah disciplined me severely, but did not hand me over to death. Open the gates of righteousness for me. I will enter them and thank Yah. This is the gate of Adonai. Who is the gate? Who is the way? Who is the door? Yeshua. The righteous can enter it. I am thanking you because you answered me. You became my Yeshua, my salvation. The very rock that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. This has come from Adonai, and in our eyes it is amazing. This is the day that Adonai has made, a day for us to rejoice and be glad. What is he saying? We thought all our hope was gone, and we've actually put our trust not in man but God. This becomes the foundation for the existence of this people. It becomes the foundation for men like David. Every great man of God learns to hold on to and trust in God. And it doesn't matter where they are or what they're facing. David looked at a lion, he looked at a bear, and he looked at a Goliath. To him, God was the only one that was consistent. It doesn't matter whether it's a lion, doesn't matter doesn't matter if it's a veteran. Doesn't matter if one has really big teeth, really big claws, and one has a sword and spear. God is the same. He is my assurance. Now listen to the next part. This is quite interesting. Think of the triumphal entry. What do you guys have in your translation there? Verse 25, Psalm 118. Please, Adonai, save us. Rescue us. Right? You have the term Hoshiana. Remember when Yeshua was coming on a donkey and they were waving palm branches? Hoshiana, Hoshiana, they were quoting this. Save us and rescue us. Now what is the context from this? If you're looking at Messiah from the Messiah perspective, when they were cheering for him coming down on the Mount of Olives, what do you think they were asking to be rescued from? Rome. Our enemies surround us. We are hemmed in from all sides. We have no freedom. The Mashiach is coming, one like David, to rule and reign. And he will make every enemy of God his footstool. If it was establishing just the earthly kingdom David did, would it make sense for him to come and reign at the age of roughly 33? Come in, establish himself, and then what? From a Jewish perspective in that time period, what do you think their idea was of the Mashiach? King, come and reign, establish. Who's he going to reign over? Israel. Right, so for us Jews, who's he going to crush? Them nations. How's he going to get the nations to come up to him and serve them? How is he going to redeem creation? All of a sudden we missed the Isaiah 53 portion, which we'll discuss a little later. Maybe. Definitely next week. There's a portion where he talks about it. But we know their intent by what they were waving. When he was riding on a donkey, their kings rode on donkeys. They picked up palm branches. Palm branch was a symbolism of national Israel. The Maccabees had a coin where the palm branch was center. And when they waved the palm branches, they were going to go, yes, please, this kingdom is going to be established. It's like waving a national flag. Now the time's up. Messiah starts to break down in tears. Why is the king crying? Right. If he's going to build a house and he's the cornerstone, is that the first to be laid down or the last? What about the rest of the building? They missed it. They didn't understand the context of this, but yet they screamed it. Hoshiana, Hoshiana. Verse 26 is fascinating to me. Blessed is he who comes. Now, where did we hear him reference that? Richard? Okay, move here. There was something quite pertinent at a very fancy dinner. I gave you the clue. There was a dinner. Pesach, Seder. Say, I will not drink of this cup till I have seen it fulfilled in my kingdom. Right? And remember, if we understood the wedding custom of the time, that cup number 3, was the proposal. And he was going to go away for a time to build the house, to come back to fetch his bride. And then at the wedding supper, when it is all culminating, he would drink of this cup. Guess what they say when they see a Jewish groom coming down the aisle? Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. He will Israel recognize him as the groom. How's he going to do that? Tell me, Bim. How are we going to get them there? What's God's plan? Are you not going to provoke the Jews to jealousy? How do you provoke a Jew to jealousy? It's not a formula, but it's quite simple. Are you going to go to him and say, that Torah you love, you can get rid of it? No, he's going to smile and he's going to walk away and say, thanks, but no thanks. I love my God, I love his instruction. But when you, as someone who was once far off from him, that has been chosen and brought close, get to expound and keep his Torah with joy in your heart better than he knows it. How does this guy know my God better than I do? How does he have such a deep relationship with this God? See, many a Jew that will look at a Passover Seder and go, oi, it's that time of year again. And they will sit through a 4-hour meal, the Seder of reading the entire Exodus story in one night. And they will say it as fast as possible to get it over and done with, because this is a Jewish thing that we have to do. In Israel, the country of Israel, at the moment, there's like 40% of them are atheists. 98% of the people in Israel celebrate Passover. How can you be an atheist celebrating Pesach? Because it's not a God thing in their mind, it is a Jewish thing. Why? Mommy, why do we do this? Because we're an ancestor were taken, and she will tell them, or his father will tell them exactly what Scripture tells us to do. But Dad, we come from Russia, come from South Africa, come from Ukraine. When were we ever in Egypt? Eat your biscuits, leave me alone. You really get to the point of, you know, by biscuits I mean unleavened bread, huh? When we really get to the point of understanding Yeshua and the freedom from our sin to establish us as His own, how much more can you celebrate, and how much pertinent is it for you? When He saved me from slavery, when He freed us from our bondage, when He brought us as individuals, made us a people. Surely the kingdom is established through the kingdom. What's kingdom currency? Let me tell you a story. Our rabbi would put it. He goes up to the guy and he says, they ask him, Rabbi, should we pay temple tax? And he says, you have a denarius. Or should we say tax, pay tax to Caesar? Tax to Caesar one. He says, you have a denarius, give it to me. They pull out a denarius. And right there and then they should have stopped and walked away. Why? Because on the denarius, there's a graven image. Whose image was it? Caesar's. And what was minted on the coin? A divine son to a divine ruler. Caesar Augustus stamped his face on it. His claim was that when Julius Caesar died, there was a comet that appeared. And when that comet had appeared, he made a divinity claim. There's the ascending into heaven. He is with the gods because he is a god. So therefore it makes me, Caesar Augustus, a son of God. Have a coin. And the true son of God looks at this and goes, really? So your God, when people want to take, when kingdoms move over and they take hold of other countries, one of the first things they do is they change the currency. They put their faces on it. Understand whose kingdom you belong to. Yeshua takes this coin and he looks at it and he goes, whose image is this? And they say, Caesar's. And he says, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Render unto God what is God's. Two points. One, Caesar and God are two different things. It's not his claim, but this is the reality. Second claim, as we were teaching in the first session, in whose image were you created? God's image. So, you've all heard the expression that Yeshua said, store up in heaven that which moth and rust do not eat away and destroy, right? Right? Vincent paraphrase version. If you look at the context of that verse, he wasn't talking about stuff. You can't take any of this with you, can you? So what is he talking about? What is your treasure? people. That which is made up in God's image is the true currency of the kingdom of heaven. You are a peculiar treasure. You are the treasure we take with. And we store it up in heaven because you will be there for a time until everything is reestablished and recreated on earth. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed is he who comes in the name of Yud He Vav He. The groom will come to fetch his bride. That's a Pesach understanding. We bless you from the house of Adonai. Adonai is God and He gives us light. Join in the pilgrim festival with branches all the way to the horns of the altar. What's the horns of the altar for? Which altar? In the temple, right? But remember, were there horns on the altar? No, there was on the incense altar and on the brazen altar. Could we walk through to go to the altar of incense? Absolutely not. We will go all the way to the place of judgment, the place of worship, the place of mercy. What do the horns represent? Strength. Because in His strength He will turn His wrath. Judgment will be away. Rejoice and go up. Through His strength it will be established. Does that sound familiar? The temple pillars in Solomon's temple, there were two pillars that ran past that were supposed to symbolize God's legs. One was called Boaz, the other one was called Yakin. Boaz means in his strength, Yakin means it will be established. God will establish Himself on earth. He will establish His house on earth. He will Emmanuel. But to do that, He has to deal with sin. You following the logic? Okay? You are my God and I thank you. You are my God, I exalt you. Give thanks to Adonai for He is good. His grace continues forever. Salvation. Being saved by the Father. You ready for image number 3? And also he is a stone that will make people stumble, a rock over which they will trip. Remez, Isaiah 8. Go to Isaiah 8 verse 1, please. Yachin, Boaz. I will establish in okay. What's the first couple of lines in Isaiah 8? Adonai said to me, take a large tablet and write on it easily readable letters. Maher Shalal Hashbaz. And this is where the Taki meets the Torah. Let's get your brains out. When you talk about Emmanuel, who is the first Emmanuel? Isaiah's son, Maher Shalal Hashbaz. Okay? Let me read through the portion and you will understand the context of why I say this. Okay? His name means the spoil hurries, the prey speeds along. I witnessed it for me by reliable witnesses, Uriah the Kohen and Zechariah, the son of Yaverech Yahu. Then I had sexual relations with my wife. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son. As Adonai said to me, name him Maher Shalal Hashbaz, because before this child knows how to cry Abba and Ima, the riches of Damascus and the spoil of Shomron will be carried off and given to the king of Ashur. Adonai went on speaking and said more to me. So we know that this was a symbol. He comes up to them and they ask Isaiah for a sign, and they said, I'm really worried about Assyria coming down. There's going to be issues. And he says to him, ask of me a sign. He says, no, I will not test Adonai, but this king is not very kosher at the best of times. So he says, God will give you a sign. Meher Shal Hashbaz. So the fact that this kid came forth and they watched him grow, that was going to give them a timeline for what they were dealing with here. And this is where we pull the verse, and a young maiden or a virgin will give birth. An Alma will give birth. And we understand that always to be Miriam, correct? Mary. But the context is here. You with me? Right. So if you want to, you guys want me to expound on this a little bit? All right. Go back to chapter 7. Let me read from verse 10. Adonai spoke to Achaz. He said, ask Adonai your God to give you a sign. Ask it anywhere, from the depths of Sheol, the grave, to the height. Achaz answered, I won't ask, I won't test Adonai. Then the prophet said, listen, ye house of David. Is trying people's patience such a small thing for you that you must try the patience of my God as well? Therefore Adonai himself will give you people a sign. The young woman will become pregnant, bear a son, and name him Immanuel. God is with us. By the time he knows enough to refuse evil and choose good, he will have to eat curdled milk and wild honey. Yes, before the child knows enough to refuse evil and choose good, the land and whose two kings you dread will be left abandoned. You see, there was an alliance coming up from the north, and God was already arranging that alliance was not even going to come close to take on this kingdom. He uses this child and Isaiah's wife as a sign. Adonai will bring the king of Ashur on you, your people, your father's house. There will be days worse than you have known since Ephraim broke loose from Judah. You seeing the context? Okay? Go back to 8 for me. Let's pick up the premise. There will be... What is the point of Emmanuel? Knowing that God is with you. Everything else here is a sign. You will be okay because God is with you. I want you to just close your eyes for a second. Tell me them, please. Close your eyes. This was important enough for God to give you 3 witnesses today alone. Tabernacles, as we come into it, is about God dwelling with you. The music that Mikey and the band and him chose was about God abiding in you. He will dwell with you. To bring him to the point of this one, no matter what you're facing, I don't know who this is for, but I'm taking some for me too. That no matter what, Immanuel, if he is with you, you can sing Psalm 118. He will save you. He will rescue you. He will provide for you. He will walk with you because He dwells in you. All right, open up your eyes. Let that sink in. All right. Where was I? 8 verse 6, right? Since the people has rejected the gently flowing waters from Shiloach and takes joy in Retzin in the son of Remaliah, now Adonai will bring upon him the mighty flood waters of the Euphrates. That is the king of Assyria and his power. It will rise above all its channels and overflow all its banks. It will sweep through Yehudah, flooding everything and passing on. It will reach even up to the neck, and its outspread wings will fill the whole expanse of the land. God is with us, Emmanuel. You make an uproar, peoples, but you will be shattered. Listen, all of you from distant lands, arm yourself, but you will be shattered. Yes, arm yourselves, but you will be shattered. Devise a plan, but it will come to nothing. Say anything you like, but it won't happen because God is with us. For this is what Adonai said to me, speaking with a strong hand, warning me not to live the way this people does. Don't regard as alliance what this people calls alliance, and don't fear for what they fear, or be awestruck by it. But Adonai Tzevaot, consecrate Him. Let Him be the object of your fear and your awe. He is there to be a sanctuary. But for both the houses of Israel, He will be a stone to stumble over, a rock obstructing their way, a trap and snare. For the inhabitants of Jerusalem, many of them will stumble and fall, be broken, trapped, and captured. So, this is going to take more than one word to summarize, yes? Theme. For those who keep to God, Emmanuel. For those who operate the way the world works, fear what they fear, make alliances the way they make alliances. He says, don't do that, but focus. Yes? You read that. It will be a stumbling block. Judgment will come, salvation will be there. Depending on who you put your trust in or what you put your trust in is going to define your outcome. That's what He's trying to get you to understand. Now, what is the stumbling block? The stumbling block is the Father's way of doing things and the Son who repeats the Father's way of doing things. It makes no sense. They don't trust in their understanding. He says, lean not on your understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him. Whose ways are higher than ours? God's ways. So you might not understand what you're seeing. You don't understand what you're experiencing. You don't understand a lot about your life right now. And there's going to be moments if you have kind of you won't. God knows it all. And if you stay with Him, He promises to stay by you. I've never left you nor forsake you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Let His will be done in your life, because that is going to yield the greatest change in you and the greatest crop to come. It's going to bring forth fruit. You might not understand what He's doing right now, but God knows exactly what's going on, and He's just telling you to hang on, I'm still here. Don't worry about what you see in front of you. Don't freak out the way the world is freaking out. You just need to keep your eyes on me. I will save you. I am your salvation. I am your refuge. I am your sanctuary. I am your God. Let me handle the details. Let me deal with the recession. Let me deal with your family. Let me deal with whatever issue you think you're facing right now. If He is with us, who can stand against us? Amen? Someone here really needs to hear this. He's with you. You make sure you don't leave Him, because He's right by your side. Don't rush to fix the problem by yourself. You will only make a mess. Wait on His timing and wait what He does. No eye has seen, no ear has heard the things He plans for those He loves, or for those who love Him. I think one day we're going to look back at our little leadership area and we're going to go, wow, there were moments when I thought I had completely lost the plot. I thought this was it. I thought we were going to struggle the whole way through. But I want you to remember something. God is your inheritance. You get to have Emmanuel. That is the biggest thing you get to take. That is the biggest part of your calling. It is the kingdom established in you, through you, as you walk and breathe out this kingdom. You get to bring people in for His glory and establish His throne, not only in your life, but theirs as well. Amen? But we need to understand, the builder is doing it his way. We're in a fantastic time again. All right. They are stumbling at the word, disobeying it as had been planned. Why would God plan for them to stumble? Because they want to do evil. So He's going to trip them up every time. Why? Because He loves them enough to slow them down. If you just let them go, do not spurn discipline, because God disciplines those He loves. But you are a chosen people, a king's kohanim, a holy nation, people for God to possess. Is going to stumble. They're not going to understand Yeshua. They're not going to understand God's way of doing things. They're not going to understand what's going on. And then those that are, they are chosen. They are kings, a kingdom of priests. What does that mean? He's taking a quote all the way back from Exodus 19. What do they understand about a priest? No. Egyptian mentality, not Levitical mentality. You reflect the God. If I want to know what your God's like, I watch the priest for 5 minutes. If he's terribly grumpy, possessive, and annoying, that's what the God is like. They are trained to portray their God. Remember, Exodus 19, Leviticus was not yet understood or given. He says, if you keep my covenant, then you will become a peculiar treasure. Torah was a gift to those who decided to keep the covenant. So for us as priests, Remember I said to you on Yom Kippur, those 13 attributes? If God is compassionate, you be compassionate. If God is merciful, you be merciful. Look at Yeshua's life and to show me what that looks like. A holy nation, something that is kadosh, something that is set apart. What does set apart mean? What does that look like? Something other than what the world is. The world looks a certain way, you will not. The world acts a certain way, you will not. When you change your name, when your surname changes, you become a reflection on the person whose surname you took on, yes? If you become a prince in a kingdom, you reflect your king. Everything you say and do tells me that the king is okay with it or he's not okay with it. You are set apart to reflect him. A people for God to possess. Oh man, that gives me happy bumps. Everybody else just gets money. Everybody else just gets land. Everybody else gets to live and get a job and pay tax. That's it. Hebrews puts it this way. There's life, and then there's life, then death, then there's a judgment. What do you have? Something eternal. You know, when I sit and you hear about those borders being read out, and they get from this and this and this and this and this and this, and he goes, Levites, you get me. Now, depending on your heart, that will either be the most miraculous thing you've ever understood, or you will be dismayed by it. What do you mean I don't get no land? No, you get God. If you're a kingdom of priests, if you're part of the Kohanim, you get God. Don't worry about working the land. The food will come to you. You stay focused on me, okay? How many of you would love, isn't it like part of the heart of Sukkot, right? Get away from everything and all of the people and all the responsibilities for work, and you just get to sit there and have God. People that have been with me to Israel, that's why we go. Because we get to stay focused on Him for 12, 13 days. That's all we do. Who needs stuff? God says He will possess you. You're His. Why? In order for you to declare the praises of the one who called you out of darkness into this wonderful light. Once you were not a people, but now you are God's people. Before you had not received mercy, but now you have received mercy. You didn't know Him. He found you and He said, hey, I sent Messiah to die for you. You in? Dear friends, I urge you as aliens and temporary residents not to give into the desires of the old nature. Act like where we found you, which keep warring against you, but live such good lives among the pagans that even speak against you as evildoers, they will, as a result of seeing your good actions, give glory to God on the day of His coming. Why do you think they would persecute them and say they're a bunch of evildoers if they don't steal, if they don't commit adultery, if they don't do all of those things? Well, now that's just persecuted for the sake of righteousness. This is a slightly different bit of context. So you're in the Middle East. Earthquakes happen in the Middle East. This is a foreign idea for us. You come in and you park your little God-fearing self on the outskirts of town. You don't go and worship their gods. You don't pay homage to the patron god of the city. Big earthquake happens. Whose fault is it? Yours. You have angered our gods and they're punishing us. You see, we don't like the judgment and we want to shift the blame. It's your fault I got into trouble. It's your fault I reacted like this. It's your fault. Isn't that the way you used to think? But now we start to look, after going through a couple of Yom Kippurs and Elul, you've got to be real honest with yourself. Yeah, that was me. Abba, deal with this so that I can become more like you. But to change their heart is to watch you walk. For the sake of the Lord, submit yourself to every human authority, whether to the emperor as being supreme, being sent by him to punish wrongdoers. Good. All right, key to understand this next context, submission needs to be understood. What does submission mean? It's become a very dirty word in our modern day understanding. You submit to a dictator. That is not what the Bible says. I was on a marriage course. They were counselors deal with other things. And there's one guy, no biblical background whatsoever, and he says, my wife will not submit to me. I'm not her dictator. She is my partner. And you cannot tell me otherwise. And he went against what Scripture said. Well, the people tried their utmost to say, but if you were a loving husband and all the rest of it, she would want to submit to you. In his mind, submission was dirty. Submission is not something you enforce. Submission is something you give. But what is it? To be accountable to someone. That is what the term actually means. Why do I have to be accountable? Richard? Okay, you're not going to be accountable to him, right? Okay? Why else? Let's look at our husband and wife scenario. Let me terrorize you for 2 minutes. Vince, don't you dare say I have to submit to this man. Wrong attitude, come see me afterwards. Because everything you do affects your spouse. You make a decision. Tanya will come up and look at the kids and then they will go, no, she will say, no, you can do it. They come up to me and go, Daddy, can I do it? And I go, I don't see a problem. Why not? Oh, no, sorry, Mommy said no. Why are we saying no again? They did this, and this, and this. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. That was sneaky. Right? I'm accountable to her as much as she's accountable to me. But God holds me responsible for my house. Just as I need to understand that if I'm holding on to His promises, is God accountable to me in a sense? Yes, because He said He was going to come and fetch me, and He said this was going to happen, and when it's all done, we're going to have eternal promises. Abba, I'm holding you to your word. Please fulfill it. Come quickly. And I, in everything that I do, have to make sure that my heart is in submission to Him. Father, this is why I'm doing it. This is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing this. So you take Shabbat into your house as a father, and you lead your family. Why are you doing that? Because He told me to. And I will establish Him in my home, being accountable to Him. You're getting this context? Now, if the emperor says you will worship pagan deities, does this text state that we should submit to them? No. How do I know that? It's not your opinion. I want a testimony. There was a Daniel guy sitting over there, and they say, you will not pray to any other gods. And when contradict this? Absolutely not. If there's a contradiction, you're misunderstanding. There's a point where we will have to stand up for God, even when they don't understand. He's using this in a context that says, understand where you are. God put this government into power, or are you praying for them? No, but I don't like them and they're making silly decisions and all the rest of it. When the people you voted for, they got into power, you were happy to submit. Yes? Yes. Did they make silly decisions? Yes. Who's in charge of putting people into power? God. God's way, not yours. We need to understand something. There is a point where you can be a good citizen and abide by the normal rules and regulations that the government established by God, but might not necessarily be following God. And when they look to you and they think you're part of the problem, you naughty Christians who might want to spank your children, accept my nuts. But when you come up and you say, listen guys, God put these people into power, let's do our best to follow as much as we can, they will look at you and they go, why can't the rest of the people be like you? Because they don't have a difference. Let them see your halakha. So you would glorify their Father. And in Daniel, who was the one most happy that he came out that lion's den? The God of all things. This is amazing. You guys, in you go. Living testimony to them who Daniel's God was. You have a choice in your life. Every person here needs to realize that they have to submit. To submit to Him. The order of the house. Why do we have that order? Lady, Adam could not stand up. You will be the one responsible for running the house. I will give you that authority and I will hold you accountable. You will wait for your husband to move before you move. Because he might have stopped you from sinning, but if he stood up as well, it wouldn't have happened. In both cases, we both got what we deserve. Most men authority in their lady to step up, or they take it naturally because they've been around that. And then the husband goes, well, she's doing it anyway on the couch. You take care of this, you do that, you do the finances, you take all of that, okay? I'll be watching TV. There's a very big change in the way we think. When you go to Israel for the first time and you see all the men carrying the children and you're like, what is going on here? It's 2 o'clock in the morning, there's a screaming child, the mommy's asleep, daddy's bouncing baby. And he's walking up and down the aisle. My house, my child, my responsibility. I love my wife, so I will serve her. They understand Yeshua better than most Christians do. Because it's our job to lift up our family, not to rule over them. So I pick mine up and I show them to God. And I'm saying that's the best I got. So I will keep on pointing them to that end. Because I know He's the one that's going to get them there. That's what submission means. Very quickly, verse 15. For it is God's will that by doing good should silence the ignorant talk of foolish people. Submit as people who are free, but letting your freedom and but not letting your freedom serve as an excuse for submit as God's workers, servants, slaves. Be respectful to all, keep loving the brotherhood, fearing God and honoring the emperor. Remember, he's dealing with people that's saying we shouldn't, this man thinks he's God, there's no way me. In power? Did he not say under the Great would be there? Did he not say before that it was the Medo-Persian Empire? Did he not say before that it would be Babylon? So who are you really rebelling against? Make no mistake, they will all be held accountable for what they do. Someone like Nebuchadnezzar who praises God in the end, and he goes, there is only one God. From reading the text, I'm pretty when we're I acknowledge who I am, I will be respectful to him, I will keep people made in his image, I will fear, not unhealthy fear, but full of respect and awe for my God, and because I honor him, I will be the best possible kingdom servant I can be, no matter where I am. Amen? Alright, any questions, any thoughts? No, chapter 2 is the longest one in history, right? All right, prayer time, happy time.